Hi, I'm Val. I'm the open water swimming coach here at Milton Country Park, and we're first weekend of November, shorten the course, winter swimming. Lots of you want to swim through the winter, having already swum in the summer or the slightly warmer water. I would still describe it as cold water though, so congratulations for getting so far. But now the risks do escalate a little bit, and there are some considerable dangers involved in what is a brilliant pastime if you get the bug and you can stick at it. So we're just going to go over some key knowledge base around this, and also use your experience as well to back that up, but also build into that the kind of expectations we've got here as a venue about how we look after your safety and what we ask of swimmers to do in return to keep themselves safe and have an enjoyable time. So 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then we'll go over, and if anyone's not confident, I'll swim around with them. Well, I'll go for a swim anyway. You'll probably all zoom off in the background, leaving me, puddling behind. But the offer is for others who come to this induction that I will actually swim and introduce them to it if they're new to the lake or new to the water after a break. So we base our practice here on the Beyond Swim guidance, which is a really well respected guideline around venues in terms of how they organise themselves to keep people safe and the kind of things that swimmers need to get going. And I guess that the first thing is just to outline some of the kind of physiology around cold water. Do you know the temperature of a swimming pool, your local swimming pool?
It's about 29 degrees.
Yeah, 29 degrees, and sometimes when you get in for a second, you feel it on your skin, your nerves have a bit of sensation, but very quickly you're comfortable in that for quite a long time. But as the seasonal temperatures change, and the coast is different to inland water like lidos or lakes, but basically we would call anything above 16 degrees, that's where moderate levels of risk start to come into open water swimming. Having said that, anyone if they spend too long in water that's moving colder than our body temperature, we're going to risk our body temperature dropping as a result of that. But there are a series of risks that kick in one after the other. There's a sort of physiological order to what happens to our bodies when we go in cold water. The temperature today, Julia, I don't know if we've measured it yet, but we would probably be 12. It's been hovering at 13 to 14. So that comes under the category of being cold water. We would say cold water rather than moderately cold water. Very cold is below 11 degrees, and then below 6 degrees. So if you've done a 5 degreer, it does feel different on the body, and I've done a 4 degreer, and I deeply didn't like it. It wasn't because the sting on the face was any different. It was very unsettling. So that is very cold water, and going under 5 degrees almost, doesn't quite require the full MOT health check, but people are advised to be in good health and consult their GP if they think they want to do that kind of thing. So there's categories of cold. So it might get to below 11 degrees towards the end of October, November. We're in that territory now. So we're in the cold water to very cold water territory already as we speak, and it will probably get more. So more attention needs to be paid to what you might normally do if you'd swum here a couple of weeks ago when it was 14 degrees. That's clear. So the first thing that happens when you get in the water, physiologically speaking, any clues, any experience of that?
Cold shock.
Cold shock. Yeah. What does that? What do you feel like?
Takes your breath away.
Yeah. Takes your breath away. There's an involuntary gasp and a big intake of breath, and then often hyperventilation for a few seconds afterwards, and that can result, even in experienced swimmers, them having the gases, the carbon dioxide, the oxygen is going a bit haywire. Your arms suddenly don't do what they're meant to do for momentarily, and that can cause swim failure. So even entering cold water is a thing to be mindful of, and even at the milder temperatures that we've had over the summer, 16, 17, 18, you'll still feel that little gasp reflex, even though you might handle it quite well. And the thing is, while that is also happening, your heartbeat is raising and your blood pressure is going up, and you probably won't feel a pounding in the chest because there's so much else going on. You're distracting yourself. So be mindful of that, and it can take 90 seconds to 2.5 minutes, so let's call it 2 minutes, in order for that response to settle down, even if you barely feel it yourself. So it's important to step in slowly and keep your breathing going in that kind of systematic way as you enter the water. And imagine chatting to somebody next to you, because if you can talk freely, that's a sign that your breathing's in control and you're not having to hold it or involuntarily get in the way. So the cold shock is a big thing. The other reason for walking into the water gently is, and if you expose your hands probably, if not the rest of your body, you feel the cold on your hand, the tingling, the nerves straight away start to react to that, and that's what triggers that whole cold water reaction. So to calm down that sympathetic nervous system, which is the sort of stimulus that's caused you to have a cold shock, you need that time to bring the parasympathetic system, which is the calming part of our hormone distribution nervous system, into play. And what's quite interesting is, have you heard of splashing the face for swimmers? Yeah, don't do it straight away, but gradually start to wet all parts of your body, get the skin in your wetsuit thing, but start to wet your face, particularly up around the eyes here, and that stimulates the calming part of the nervous system. If anyone's embarrassed in a meeting, they might go, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. And they are fanning their calming system to bring them down. So that's really important. So that's the sort of the first thing. The skin initiates this response. You get the gasping, the cold shock. So there's a danger time in the first few minutes in the water. And if anyone's going to have a heart attack, it's often in that early phase. Of course, very rare, but early phase, early phase of the swim, because everything's under huge strain. And then during the swim, there's a third phase of physiology where gradually your nerves will get cold, especially where they're exposed, so the hands, ankles, whatever, and has a freezing effect on your ability to swim. So you start to lose a bit of the coordination, hands might go a bit chlorey. So after some time, it'll be different for different people. It depends if you wear gloves. Your efficiency in the water is going to be jeopardised. That's fine, no problem. But if you're swimming on your own, it might be, it's one of those things to look out for. But where it becomes a possible issue is if you stay in too long and your nerves can actually get hurt through that process. So not irreversibly damaged, potentially, but it's a sort of a damage there, and then to your nervous system ability to control your body. So that's something to look out for. And these guys, when they're looking out for, might watch for swim failure, where people are less swimming along like that and more sort of swimming like this, and maybe slightly uncoordinated. Their swimming stroke changes a little bit. Believe it or not, the people on the boards do, get to quickly know what swimmers look like and keep an eye out for that kind of thing. So that's important. If you've got a wetsuit on, there's a natural buoyancy there, so your swim failure is masked a little bit, but nonetheless it's a sign for you to look out for. Now the thing here is that if you put the emphasis on yourself to self-regulate what you're feeling and how's it going, there's an inherent jeopardy in that, because your ability to start thinking straight about this kind of thing is compromised by the cold as well. So the best thing is to listen if someone else says, oh, have you had long enough in the water? And if you think about the getting out and getting changed and getting yourself sorted to go home, that is the extra lap. That is the extra 5-minute swim. That is the extra bit. So if you're planning, I'm planning to do 4 loops or 3 loops, whatever, take one off, because the extra lap is the effort that is needed to get out and get yourself sorted out in the end there. So it doesn't finish there. What else can happen? So we've had this. Sorry?
After you get out or still in the water?
Yeah, both. Okay, so gradually your body temperature, core body temperature will drop. We're normally about, 37.5 degrees, something like that. Now, technically, if your body temperature goes down to 35 degrees, that's classified as hypothermia because it is response of the body that is dangerous and puts us into a different ballpark of needing support and supervision, if not medical treatment. And it's where the core temperature has dropped enough to have some external symptoms, but also some internal changes as well. So your lips might be blue, you might start to shiver in the water, and certainly by this time your ability to think and plan and swim properly is definitely altered. What happens when you leave the water, that process continues for 20 or 30 minutes. So in a way, you've got to leave the water before your core temperature is just coming off its normal. That's when you should be thinking about leaving the water, because it will drop a half degree or whatever whilst you're out getting dressed. So the sequence and the practice of getting dressed on the beach or in your car, behind your car boot or however you do it, is really quite important to recognise you'll have difficulty because of the nerves and muscles sort of freezing a little bit. You'll have difficulty getting stuff off and on. So if anyone says, "Oh, will you help me get my wetsuit off?" Of course they might need help, but it might delay your changing time as well. So that, yes, we're kind to each other, we have buddies, but we also have helpers on the bank to maybe assist us. But getting your wet stuff off, particularly on the core, is really important. And get yourself dry. So a lot of people will rip off the top layer and put something warm over their bottom layer, their swimming costume, and try and drive home with the cold costume on underneath. But that doesn't speed up. It doesn't slow down your loss of body heat in the core. It doesn't help with that, and it doesn't help re-warm you afterwards. So getting dry, getting the kit off, getting dry, layers on the core is really important. So prioritise the core. You can keep your swimming hat on while you're getting changed if you can, and then stick a woolly on, because your head is clearly a place where warmth can leave the body quite quickly. So dry, close on the core, keep the head, preventing any more loss. And then as best you can, and it is pitiful, I am rubbish at putting socks on and things like that after a cold swim. It is really difficult, but just try and go as quickly as you can with that. Drinks, do they help? Hot coffee, soup? Yeah, they're comforting. I mean, they make a minuscule contribution to actually warming of the core once you're cold, but it is comforting. Oh no, it's a good flask. I can't really feel the warmth, but to hydrate and to get some warmth in you does feel nice, but it's not essential. More important is that you're hydrated before you swim. It's going to be a short swim, so it's not an athletic hydration. It's more just making sure your body's in shape for the assault of the water that's going to come. So, any questions? Then we'll move into kit and what we expect swimmers to.
Why did it say warm drink, not hot drink on the instructions today?
Oh, I guess because you couldn't tell if you were burning your lips. Probably. Yeah, warm drink. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, scientists are behind the writing of this, so every word matters. Warm drink. Yeah. At this point, how confident are you about swimming in cold water? Let's do a 1 to 10. How confident?
How cold?
At this temperature here, how confident? 1 to 10. 1 means you only just got here because you were so unconfident about it. 10 means, yeah, no problem, be fine. Done it before. I'll go. 10?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
An 8.
8.
4.
4.
Go for a 10.
Go for 10.
Just how long you stay in for.
Yeah, okay. 8. Great. Andrew? 10. Fantastic. All right. And in terms of your motivation to do it through the winter, 1 to 10? You've made great steps. I'm expecting you all to be up in the 8.5.
9.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 7.
That's 7.
Yeah, 9.
9. Oh, yeah. 7. Okay.
Seven.
Those wet mornings might mean you don't get out of it.
When it gets really cold, that's
Another 7.
unknown.
Okay. All right. So you're pretty confident. That's great. Let's try test and see. today to get that up there. Very motivated, of course you are, you're here, and it's a brilliant thing to get going with. Right, kit-wise, are you happy just developing your normal summer swimming style into the cold water demands? Okay, you all came in dry robe type things, other makes are available. Some people like to swim in skins and you know, can do that by skin swimming just as costume. You have to sign a big disclaimer here just to say you're practiced and done it and ready to do it. Yeah. If people aren't keen on wetsuits, we do recommend, you know, there are all sorts of neoprene type products, long sleeve. You know, can go under your wetsuit, but some people might prefer to wear it on its own. But certainly as the temperature gets colder, the wetsuits do mitigate a little bit the cold water effect. But the water is still inside your wetsuit, still close to your body. It can still take away that temperature. So just be mindful around that. And then there's numerous gadgets. I always wear 2 swim hats. Somebody bought me this for Christmas. It's really good, actually. It's a heat-retaining little hat. And there's this kind of thing. So do consider that. Footies, we recommend them for here because muddy stones on the beach. A little bit of a sole on that one. These are no sole, but nice, keep you a bit warm, prevent the feeling of the mud or stuff. These a bit more insulation, all sorts. You can get ones with walking bases. So I'm afraid your kit supply might grow over winter as the temperatures drop. There are a few of the tricks we have. Goggles, clear or light, are probably best. But you do see people swimming in their non-smoky goggles. That's up to you. It's quite light. Normal kit, normal goggles there. Does anyone suffer with the ice cream head face? Yeah. So that's part of the nerves just going haywire, and it does slow down, and it might take 30 seconds, and you've just got to say, this will pass, this will pass, this will pass, and before you know it, you've realised it's passed and you've forgotten it. Okay, so our staff, this is just a handout about what happens to the body in cold shock to reinforce what I've said. And this is a fact sheet around, you know, do wetsuits protect me, all that kind of thing. What about rewarming? So if you can hand those round, if you don't want to take a piece of paper, just photograph it with your phone or whatever. The modern way of taking in information is. So our team, they will welcome the swimmers onto the bank, and they will have done a dynamic risk assessment of the place. They might say, if there's a risk of thunder, we're going to haul you out, guys. You know, if it's an unexpected thunder and lightning, they will haul you out anyway. They might say, oh, there's a fisherman over on that bank over there, or they might give you some local safety briefing that they've noticed about something. They might direct you to enter the water a certain way that's different for your normal way. So listen to what's being said on the way in to the swim beach. I love that. It's our beach. So there will be some visual information to reinforce the behaviours that we encourage and will enforce around the beach area around safety. Must wear a wetsuit under 16 degrees as long as if you haven't done a disclaimer to say you're used to swimming just in your costume for those temperatures and below.
Does a thicker wetsuit make much difference for winter swimming?
Yes, it makes a difference to warming. It could be harder to get off and on, but I'm not sure. I think that's just the fit in the wetsuit in your body. But thicker the wetsuit, the better. I swim through in this 2-piece. It's just 2 millimetres, but I would put an underlayer on, vest or something on there. If you need help and assistance, the call for help is to lie on your back and put your hand up. We'll do a quick demo of this. We'll go in and acclimatise together for a minute and a half, if you can bear that. I know your experience. We'll do that together and we'll just practice that. They will see you come to you very quickly, and they might ask you questions, but you're likely to be not unresponsive in the sense of unconscious, but slightly incoherent. And certainly for me, I can't talk very well once I get cold swimming. They will direct that safety situation and sort you out and take you to the bank or whatever is required. Must wear hats, obviously, for easy recognition, but of course they help to keep you warm. The safety crew will be in the middle channel, and it's a elliptical shape, but shorter than the normal summer one. So you just swim around that, and I think there's some external boundaries as well where we want to keep you in that broad shape of the elliptical area there. Yeah, the swans, we've got a family of swans. They've got more than teenagers. They're practicing their flying. So taking off and landing near you is quite something, actually. But the safety crew will kind of direct you to do something different if they think that's necessary, but mostly they'll intercept the swans and kind of keep them away. When you come out, the safety crew might encourage you to be quick. And that's not because they want to get off and have the rest of their weekend. It's because they've noticed you're fumbling, or you've done this and then you've done that, or you've not. You know, you need to move and encourage that and going on. If they notice you're shivering and you've got yourself dressed and organised, they might ask you to walk up and down near where they are for 5-10 minutes before they feel they can say to you, all right, you're okay to drive home, or get on your bicycle or something to go home. So, you know, please respect they're doing that out of that sort of third eye, noticing what's going on with you there. Some of you will be really fast, good swimmers, overtaking others. So, again, leave a wide berth, overtake people around the outside. Let's make it a nice community. There will be people coming in the winter who literally just want 5 minutes in, dipping in, bit of breaststroke and then out. But again, you guys might want to do 10 laps and have a decent swim. I think that's probably it on that. Any questions? Anything I've missed out?
We don't have to have these.
No, that's a tow float. It's not compulsory. This is just a pure blow-up one, so it gives a balloon shape that bobbles behind you. If you did faint in the water and sort of slip under, it might bob up a little bit and signal to other people that there's something going on. So it's definitely safer than just swimming in a black wetsuit with a black hat on and going down. I've seen someone fall asleep in the water at the Lido. I do some lifeguarding there. So yeah, we encourage them, but we're not compulsory, no matter. If you're swimming elsewhere than here, that you have ones that you can fit your kit in, your phone or whatever. And some of them have a whistle attached to them. I always have a whistle under my wetsuit or around my wrist, more likely, where I can get to it quickly when I'm swimming with groups or in unsupervised or less supervised venues. Our circuit's really small. Some of the other lakes, they're big 500-metre loops, and honestly, the lifeguard on the shore won't see you. We have people on the water, which is important. Right, raring to go. What's the time? Yes, let's go in. So what we'll do, we go down onto the bank. I'll just demonstrate with you, Ian, you've done it before, haven't you, with me, the 90 seconds of purgatory while we get in there, have a laugh, talk to each other, show that our breathing is under control, go through the safety start-up, and then wish you a fantastic swim.
Thank you.